I'm glad to be here. I'm thrilled to be talking on a subject that is near and dear to my heart in AI. As the intro, I'm Alexandra Salomon, and I am a free agent now working with the International Advertising Association. I also work with the UK Ad Association, and I'm formerly of IAB, Interactive Advertising Bureau, and ANA. So I've been on the trade side for quite some time, overseeing data technology and measurement, obviously which AI comes off of, and B2B. Thrilled to be joined here by some wonderful women, also all touching in AI in different shapes and forms, and I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves, and I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Excited to be here. I'm Grodecka-Grad. I'm the Senior Vice President of Global Client Services at StackAdapt. That includes client services, but also our analytics and insights team, and then the creative studio. And so excited to chat about AI and what we do with it.
Excellent. Danielle?
Wonderful. I'm Danielle Betras. Thank you, Salon Culture Conversations, for having us. And I'm the Vice President of Partnerships and Portfolio Development at The Times. I joined The Times 6 years ago specifically to lead emerging technology partnerships. So emerging technology, in this case, definitely means generative AI these days. And I'm excited to chat with everybody.
Great.
And hi, I'm Linda Cronin. My team looks after media globally at Monks, which is a advertising agency.
Fabulous. Well, thanks for joining us all. So we're going to kick it off here with our first question. That AI certainly is a buzzword. I was going to say du jour, but it's really de la semaine as well. We're only Monday, and I think I've heard it 28 times in the last 3 hours. But there are solid proof points, right, for how AI is driving efficiencies in our organization, how we're seeing creativity come out of AI, building models, marketing plans, media plans at scale. How do you feel? How are we running after a shiny object, or is your organization really starting to get structured to integrate AI in different shapes and forms in the company?
So it can definitely be a shiny object if you don't pay attention and if you don't focus. AI at StackAdapt actually has been at the forefront. It had different names before. It was automation, it was machine learning, now it's AI, Gen AI, agentic AI, and kind of probably a new buzzword at the end of this week that we're going to get as well. And I think it's really comes down to, are you focusing on your planning of your marketing? Is it about your execution? Is it about analysis? Is it about informing your next activation as well? And really thinking about the jobs to be done and driving either better performance with AI and informing where do you invest, how do you learn from it, or how do you make it with lower level of effort? How can you actually make your teams more efficient in the way you create assets, create your creatives, or run your campaigns, as an example. So I think there is a ton already done, that there is a ton ahead of it, and I think every day almost, or every week, we get a new company that does another job more efficiently or more, performs way better. But if you just try to do AI just to prove it to, that you're using it as a buzzword, it can actually create fatigue and inefficiency in your organization.
Yeah. Danielle?
I would agree with that entirely. One of our consultancies presented some research to us just last week, and one of the stats and insights that stuck with me was that among brands and advertisers, fewer than 50% of them are using AI in their day-to-day. And among those who are, it's maybe 1 or highest 2 applications of it. But I think the thing that is exciting at this moment is that the KPI for AI, generative AI, agentic AI, is shifting from hype, right, technology for technology's sake, to actual effectiveness and business cases for it. So I think that that's the moment that we're in. We're in this era of experimentation when it comes to these technologies, and really understanding what you're trying to achieve, the KPIs of an experiment going into it. How are you going to measure whether you've been successful? And then, frankly, being honest enough and ready and open enough to say that didn't work. So we're going to deprioritize that project, that experiment, and that is actually a good outcome, because then you learn and you move on, and maybe you've discovered another model that might work for you or another business case.
Yeah,
for sure. From my perspective, I constantly think about it as just such a monumental change. When I think about what search did for us. When the advent of search, it helped us research differently, right? When social media came up, it helped us engage differently with each other, with brands. And I feel like this is just helping a monumental change in the way that we work. You know, we have collaborators now, right? Collaborators that are at our fingertips. And I think the best use of AI is really collaborating throughout your workflow. Understanding the right ways to do it, and not really waiting for, oh, I have to be a prompt engineer, I have to know everything. It's really using it as a collaborator through everything that you do. It makes us not just efficient, but smarter, faster, better than we ever could be.
So playing a bit off of that, when you look, you know, you're trying to get past that trepidation of AI is so much, it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Where do I start? What kind of advice would you give organizations or you know, people within their companies to get that needle moving from the trepidation, too risky, legals like, no, you can't do anything, to, okay, let's do some tests, let's not be scared in a certain environment, obviously with guide rails, to trip and fall and pick up again and go again. What kind of some pointers that you might be able to share?
I think I would start first with analyzing, like, what are some of the jobs that just takes a lot of manual effort? Where can you get the biggest, actually, like the first wins with AI, right? So you don't have to spend a lot of time implementing a new technology, training, and so on. It actually is a lot of cost associated with this. And really think about those most boring tasks that actually drive your engagement of your team down, the things that nobody wants to do, but they're actually very important. So if you think about operations or anything that can speed up, I would start there, right? And I think going deeper into most complex tasks where it would take, you know, hiring 10 different data scientists and so on, and it's hard to find, hard to train. You still want to hire them, but then they can focus a little bit more on strategy and building like higher level tasks for it. So I would really start with the things that you know you're going to get the biggest impact straight away.
Yeah.
I think I would say at the Times, our mission is to seek the truth and help people understand the world. Of course, we're a journalistic organization, and we have the business side, advertising, subscription businesses that support that journalistic mission. And I think the important thing for us is whether it's generative AI or any other technology, we do it in service of the mission and with a clear purpose. I think an early experiment for us, an early AI experiment that we launched last year was as part of our advertising business. We have a very long-standing and very robust first-party data infrastructure. And we wanted to experiment within that product, within that first-party data targeting product. Is there a way to use this new capability? And we launched this product called Brand Match, which is an AI targeting capability that kind of works into our existing system and uses this new technology. And we launched it as an experiment. We used it ourselves initially, then we betaed it with a handful of advertisers. We learned a lot about it, and now we've, in the last year, we've done more than 120 campaigns. And we are showing that the benchmarks for Brand Match from a targeting perspective are higher than average. And I think kind of knowing what your experimentation roadmap is going into it, and also pointing it at a part of your business where you know that there is an upside or there is something to be gained. I think I would look at those two things.
Well, and being able to measure it, right? So you're measurable, not just storytelling at the end.
Yeah, I would say yes and. Right? You know what, at an agency you work with a lot of confidential information for your clients, and you want to make sure that it's not being put out in the ether for others to learn from it. So we need to make sure that we have an enterprise guardrail, that we're protecting our clients' information and what we're building for our clients. I think after that, you start by starting, right? You start by looking at your workflows, making sure that you're experimenting, making sure you're looking for the most effective wins to make you better.
Yeah, and I'll play off of that. What, in terms of that balance of building at scale, using AI to have creatives that are going to be effective, but playing off of other creatives, playing off of the data, yet staying authentic, right? So how do you have that AI build what you want to build at scale, creating efficiencies, and still maintain a true voice, avoiding also biases? Here we are, you know, in a women's panel, all sorts of other biases can come out of AI. data is at the center. Bad data in is bad data out, right?
Right, yeah. And I think, I think about it, we all want to be seen, we all want to be heard, and then the relevance, especially in the world of creative, is so important. I think the risk of AI now, if the different companies and the different agencies and tech are using the same AI tools, we may actually get the same creatives and the same answers to our prompts. And then that becomes actually a personalization that's not personalized and not relevant. And then it's just like the sameness is a big risk, I think. And that's where, again, I think the AI and human combination is so important. So you recognize these things that are just too the same, too irrelevant, and then finding ways to be creative. No pun intended, in the AI, created creatives on your assets as well, your messaging.
Yeah, I would second human in the loop. I just think we're at the stage of the technology where you need that. AI is not turning out in a deterministic way perfect answers every time or perfect outputs every single time. So I think at the moment, kind of this human in the loop aspect to it is important. And then the other thing I'll just say is that as a journalism organization, we're a 174-year-old company. Back at the beginning of our history, within a media ecosystem that was new at that time, we had to develop standards for how we go about it. And now they're very common. Many different organizations use them. We know what to look for as consumers. The same thing needs to happen when it comes to these new tools and technologies in the new media ecosystem, and we're very much at the beginning of that.
Yeah, and I would say that the human in the loop is absolute, and it's a tool and a partner, not the answer, right? And when you think of it that way, it helps you. I think one of the other panels was talking about brainstorming and getting to your strategy faster, but there's still that human interaction all the way through, and making sure. You mentioned it earlier, making sure your data is clean, making sure that you're testing it for bias, making sure that you're testing it for relevancy before you deploy it is really, really critical.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think, one of my questions was kind of where the creativity gets fueled by AI, which we kind of already just answered. Where do you see that going? Like, kind of what's the evolution? I personally think humans going to be in the loop at some point all the time. It might be less. But you're still, AI doesn't come up with the ideas unless you're prompting it in whatever way the prompts will evolve to be. Any thoughts on kind of the future of what's a magic thing you would love AI to take over?
Well, I can share one and maybe a little bit different answer to the question. One of the things from a creativity perspective that I'm very excited about, and actually to the purpose of this panel and talking about representation in the category, is the diversification and the democratization of where ideas come from. So I imagine a future where you may not have to be a trained engineer or developer to come up with a great product idea or to be able to prototype a great product idea. We have many users of our product that are either readers or within the company who are not technical. And my hope is that generative AI can help kind of democratize ideas for, like I said, great development or future of the product. So democratization is what I would say.
Yeah, and we had a person on our panel that actually had a product background, and there were a few questions that I was hoping that she'd bring kind of that other perspective into.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, we obviously work with creative all the time, and we've been doing quite a lot of experimentation, quite a lot of learning of just deploying to help. Like we created for Headspace, the Mindful app, we just created 460 iterations of, within 1/3 of the time that we would normally deploy it within. And the learnings, because it's personalizing, because it's helping people understand, oh, that's an app for me. It's in my personal setting and what I do. We cut our cost per acquisition by 13%. We increased, our conversions by 62%. So we're seeing real results. And when we look at the future, we're looking at building from scratch. That was iterations, building from scratch. And we're seeing the tools are getting better and better and better, and we're able to use them with luxury, the very luxurious creatives right now. But we always tag it. that it's AI, because that's the responsible way to do it.
Right, absolutely. And there's a certain time that gets crunched down. I was working at ANA with MailChimp, and one of their award-winning campaigns was this consumer cluster, and the whole concept came by some ideation that they were doing multiple teams together with AI, and AI came out with not the perfect image, but it put them on a path of that's 100%. Exactly what we want to go to. They tweaked it. And yes, they could have done that with people, but it would have taken 2 months of different stuff, and they managed to crunch that down to 2 weeks. Now they still had to fill in and create it, but the whole ideation process got fueled.
Yeah, we have a tool we call Persona Flow, and it allows us to have conversations with synthetic audiences, but it also allows us to pre-test and understand, is this going to go over? What does it feel like bias? Like, what is it that is working and not working before we actually...
So you can tune it, not be completely off skew before you hit it. So we're going to wrap it up here. I think we did, a few of our pieces of advice, but here's my rapid fire. So if you think of your feelings on the future of AI, what would be 2 words that you would use to describe your thoughts on the future?
I'd say transformative, and then I'd say unknown.
Yeah.
I was going to say undetermined, but I think promising would be my second one.
I'd say cautiously optimistic.
You're good. I'm cautiously excited. But yes, I think there's we're all excited, obviously, about the future here that it holds for us on how it can help our teams, our companies grow. But it's not just a leap into it blindly. It's certainly take good steps within your companies. Make sure that you have different teams working together. You have some sort of committee, council, whatever that is honing together. Whether it be getting your legal teams involved, but the legal, the finance, so that you do have that balance, and that you together decide what are the metrics that you're going to use to determine success, or to determine, okay, let's put that to the side. Let's go in another direction.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.